Imagine the pulse of Miles Davis's Bitches Brew, that swirling, electric groove that birthed jazz fusion and reshaped modern music. At its heart was Jack DeJohnette, the drummer whose sticks didn't just keep time. They painted soundscapes, blending fury and finesse in ways that still echo through concert halls and headphones today. On October 26, 2025, DeJohnette, one of jazz's most versatile and visionary artists, passed away at 83 from congestive heart failure in Woodstock, New York, surrounded by his wife Lydia and closest friends. His death, confirmed by ECM Records and his personal assistant, marks the end of an era for a man whose career spanned free jazz chaos, fusion fire, and serene introspection. As tributes pour in from Keith Jarrett to Herbie Hancock, this is the story of a Chicago kid who became the heartbeat of American music. Born on August 9, 1942 in Chicago's South Side, Jack DeJohnette Jr. grew up in a home vibrating with rhythm. His father, a civil servant, and mother, Eva, filled the air with records from Duke Ellington to Ray Charles, but it was his uncle Roy Wood, a jazz violinist, who handed young Jack his first piano keys at age 4. By 5 or 6, he was studying formally with Antoinette Rich, conductor of Chicago's all-female symphony, laying the foundation for a dual mastery that would define him. Drums entered the picture in his early teens, inspired by the city's blues-soaked clubs and the hard bop ferment of Ahmad Jamal and Ramsey Lewis. Piano and drums are part of the percussion family, DeJohnette later reflected in interviews. There's no separation, learning one thing feeds the other. This philosophy of instruments as interconnected voices propelled him from doo-wop singing in high school to gigging in rock and roll bands, all while devouring Coltrane and Mingus at home. Chicago in the 1950s and 60s was a crucible for innovation, blending bebop with avant-garde edges via the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, AACM. DeJohnette thrived here, forming his first trio in the late 50s and recording with Mule Richard Abrams and Roscoe Mitchell. He briefly attended the University of Illinois but dropped out to chase music full-time, arriving in New York in 1966 with $28 in his pocket and drums in tow. The city welcomed him swiftly, gigs with Freddie Hubbard and Jackie McLean followed, then a pivotal slot in Charles Lloyd's quartet alongside a teenage Keith Jarrett. Their 1966 album Of Course, captured DeJohnette's loose-limbed swing, propelling the group to Monterey Jazz Festival fame and introducing his telepathic interplay to a wider audience. Jarrett, who would collaborate with him for decades, called DeJohnette the most musical drummer I've ever played with, a nod to his ability to listen with heart, as he often described his approach. But it was Miles Davis who catapulted DeJohnette into legend. Joining Davis's band in 1969, he succeeded Tony Williams, bringing a deeper groove to the trumpeter's electric revolution. Davis praised him in his autobiography, "Jack DeJohnette gave me a deep groove that I just loved to play over." DeJohnette's elastic polyrhythms anchored fusion masterpieces like Bitches Brew, 1970, Jack Johnson, 1971, and On the Corner, 1972, blending rock's drive with jazz's freedom. These weren't mere backbeats, they were conversations, dynamic, responsive, infusing R&B swing into modal explorations. "Miles taught me to play the spaces," DeJohnette said, crediting the icon for honing his intuitive phrasing. Yet, after 3 transformative years, he stepped away in 1972 to lead his own charge, wary of being pigeonholed. As a bandleader, DeJohnette's output was prolific and boundary-pushing. His 1968 debut The DeJohnette Complex showcased post-bop fire, but the 1970s brought experimental flair with groups like Compost and Directions, featuring John Abercrombie and Lester Bowie. By the 1980s, his ECM partnership bloomed into elegant fusion gems. Special Edition, 1979, with David Murray and Arthur Blythe, or the luminous Album, 1984. ECM's Manfred Eicher, who released dozens of his records, hailed him as a poet of the drums. DeJohnette's sideman roles were equally stellar: Bill Evans's crystalline trios, Sonny Rollins's tenor fireworks, Alice Coltrane's spiritual quests, even Pat Metheny's pop-jazz hybrids. His gateway trio with Abercrombie and Dave Holland produced ethereal ECM classics like Imaginary Voyage, 1977, blending acoustic purity with electric undercurrents. Versatility was DeJohnette's superpower. He could unleash free jazz tempests with the Art Ensemble of Chicago or groove with R&B flair on Herbie Hancock's Headhunters sessions. Piano remained a constant. He returned to it on ambient works like Music in the Key of OM, 2005, earning a Grammy nomination for Best New Age Album. In 2009, Peacetime clinched the win in that category, while 2022's Skyline with Kurt Elling and Danilo Perez took Best Jazz Instrumental Album. Late career projects like the Jack DeJohnette Group, 2010, with Rudresh Mahanthappa and Fuchsinski, fused global sounds, Indian ragas, African rhythms, into forward-thinking jazz. Even in his 80s, sidelined by health but unbowed, he performed solo piano at Woodstock's Playhouse in 2024, a meditative nod to his roots. Beyond the bandstand, DeJohnette was an educator and innovator. Named a National Endowment for the Arts Jazz Master in 2012, he founded Golden Beams Productions in 2005 to explore meditative electronica. His teaching at Bard College emphasized listening with the heart, mentoring generations on groove's emotional core. Married to Lydia since 1966, he leaves no immediate survivors mentioned publicly, but his Woodstock home, a creative haven, symbolized his grounded life. Tributes underscore his indelible mark. Chick Corea, Jack's swing was cosmic. Sonny Rollins, a brother who elevated us all. As NPR noted, DeJohnette's loose-limbed yet exacting beat propelled limitless adventure. At 83, congestive heart failure silenced his drums, but not his legacy. From Chicago garages to global stages, Jack DeJohnette didn't just play jazz, he redefined its pulse. In a genre built on impermanence, his rhythms endure, inviting us to listen deeper. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to daily updates and never miss a video.